Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's conversation. My name is Nelson Pierce, and I am the pastor of Beloved Community Church in Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I am excited to be in partnership with Common Strategies in the Black Environmental Leaders Association, hosting this 2023 Black Landscapes Matter series of conversations. Black Environmental Leaders Association are aligned as stewards of the natural and built environment through collaboration and partnership to raise awareness and advocate for environmental and economic justice. Black Landscapes Matter is once again engaging in statewide conversations that explore and elevate the connections between our environment and racial justice. We are traveling virtually around the state of Ohio to hear from environmental experts, local activists, community leaders, and other critical voices about some of the environmental and landscape challenges facing Black people in cities and communities across the state. Yes, this conversation is about the injustices we as Black people experience through the ways that our built environment has been constructed without regard for our well being and health, but we promise it won't stop there. This conversation is also a conversation about Black futures and Black possibilities. This conversation is about hope and healing when we invite ourselves to dream about, to strategize for, and ultimately to create new Black landscapes in which our children, our elders, and all of us can breathe free as we do more than survive, but as we thrive. This is why this conversation matters. And this is why it matters that you are here in this conversation with us. And with that, we want to launch into today's exciting conversation. We are talking today with the Intercity Yacht Club. The Intercity Yacht Club is a private club that was organized in 1968. We are so excited to be engaging in this conversation with as I understand it, the only Black yacht club in the state of Ohio. And so we want to welcome to the conversation Commodore Rock Adams and Vice Commodore Ryan Weeks. Commodore Rock, won't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and your role in the yacht club.
Yes, well, thank you, Pastor, for that introduction. And we want to thank you for having us. And also, we would like to thank Black environmental leaders for our partnership with them. And they have been tremendous in the efforts that they have put forth. And Intercity Yacht Club is just thrilled to be a partner with them. So Intercity Yacht Club is a private, predominantly Black yacht club that's been in existence since 1968. We sit right in the heart, or practically the heart, of the urban community here at East 72nd Street in Cleveland. Gordon Park is just in our front door, and Lake Erie is in our backyard. Again, founded in 1968 by a courageous group of Black businessmen who wanted to enjoy the recreation of boating. As with many recreations back in the 60s, the underprivileged or people of color were not indulging in a lot of recreation. So these group of men bought boats, wanted to enjoy the lake, and found that they couldn't even get gas for their boats at the local marina due to, with racial tensions being what they were. So they found themselves having to go all the way to Sandusky, to get gas. And then if anybody has been from Cleveland to Sandusky, it's a pretty good run, especially if you're in the old wooden boats that they had back in the 60s, single engines, the trials and troubles of complications of wooden boats. So they got tired. They said, hey, we want to have a yacht club here, with us. So they petitioned the city of Cleveland, and we acquired what essentially was a landfill or a dump, whatever you want to call it. Had a old bait house sitting on it, and they put their efforts into it and turned it into Intercity Yacht Club, what it is today. And the Intercity Yacht Club used to be a very major social hub back in the 60s, 70s. And surprisingly enough, a lot of the local residents here today, some of them don't even know we exist. Since the new leadership in the past, I would say 3 or 4 administrations, we have gotten the word out that yes, we are still here. And with that, we have increased membership. We are looking for sustainability to be able to support ourselves. We have our issues and whatnot, but we are here. And with what's happening and what's going to happen on our lakefront, we feel that we should be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing a bit of that history and helping us to come into the present. Vice Commodore Weeks, I want to invite you into the conversation. If you would introduce yourself and tell us about how you came to join the yacht club.
Hey, good afternoon. My name's Vice Commodore Weeks. I've been a member of the club for about 8 years. My Commodore, who also happens to be a very good friend, we in a past life we were on bikes, and as you get older, you want to transition to something a little more safe. So I started out with a 12-foot boat, and then I went to a 28. I pulled into the marina one day and I saw him on his 32-foot, and I looked like I was in a dinghy. So at that point, I knew we had to make some adjustments. I graduated now to 40-foot, and I've seen the trials that the club has been going through past administrations, and after long conversations with Rock, we decided that it was time to make some type of change. We can sit back as men and let the yacht club, kind of dissolve, because it was kind of close to the point where we were almost non-existent. With his mechanical skills and my technological skills, we have restored a little bit of life to the club. The club had a lot of infrastructure issues. Because we are a private club, we don't get help from any entity. Everything is done usually in-house, and we put our heads together, we put a team together, and slowly over the last 3 years, we have been chugging away to put the club back to where our founders, what they set out to do. We are a long way from finish, but with the support of the community once again, hopefully we can restore the glory of the Intercity Yacht Club. As the Commodore said back in the 60s and 70s, Um, it was a social hub. Any Black artists that come to Cleveland, Intercity Yacht Club was the first stop before they go to whatever gig they were in Cleveland for. And we would like, as a predominantly Black organization, to restore that faith that they had in the club, to make us part of everything that they did. Um, I just see a bright future for us, providing that we can stay on track and get what advice and assistance from the community as a whole, even if it's just physical support, just to recognize that we still exist, and the history and the drive that went in behind the people that actually got us started.
Yeah.
Um, it took a certain group of people, a certain mentality, to come out of the oppression that we've been going through for so many years to get to this point, and to let it fail now would not be right. I think that we should continue the dream and try to keep moving forward.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vice Commodore. I want to um, I want to explore just a little bit of this conversation. I'm thinking about this in particular because um, recently the world has recognized the loss of Jim Brown, and of course, Jim Brown has a particular meaning to Cleveland, and being maybe the most legendary football player to ever come out of Cleveland, and one of the most legendary sports figures to come out of a city that prides itself in its sports. And what Jim Brown meant, not just for football fans, but for Black people um, around the country. And I have friends who have never been to Cleveland who called me to talk about the loss of Jim Brown and what he meant. And I think that sometimes it is easy to think about the fights of Black people in particular ways, and to ignore the multiple ways in which our struggles take place, and multiple fronts on which we have to fight. And thinking about what you said about the Yacht Club being a place for Black artists to come through when they were coming into Cleveland, a social hub where people were able to connect and engage. I wonder either of your thoughts about um, what is how we think about what the yacht club can do and who it can be in this generation, and what is the impact that you are hoping the yacht club has um, in the greater Cleveland landscape and across the state and throughout the country. What do you hope the new legacy of the yacht club can be?
That's a very good question. I can say that we, when you think of a yacht club, you think of big boats, rich people with big money. Inner City Yacht Club was never designed that way. We are not built on that structure. We can show you how you can enjoy the luxury of, or the recreation of boating without being in that economic bracket that most people are in. To most boating, yachting, the recreation is for the well off, or the well endowed people. individuals, right? Well, we have always been, uh, 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 for lack of a better word, the underprivileged.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we still can enjoy the same pleasures on the lake, which is everybody's right, uh, as anyone else. And we show our members that, hey, we don't never. I always say I never want someone looking through our fence saying, "Wow, I could never do that.
Mm-hmm.
I could never have a boat. Them guys must be rich." Now, come on in. Let me show you something. We don't have $100,000 boats. We may have $5,000 boats. We may have boats that need work. But the point is to get you out there in the water to enjoy our lake, and for generations to come, we can still enjoy the Great Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Without of course, we have to operate different ways. Um, like Vice Commodore said, we're a private club. Something go wrong, we can't just make a phone call and get it fixed. We have to rely on our members to offset a lot of our costs, and they do. Most of our members have some type of skill set that benefits us in one way or another. We cannot do anything for anybody without our existence, our longevity, and our footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Once we solidify those, I want to see young boaters. I want to see young boat mechanics. I want to see, because boating maintenance is not very common.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a lot of talented young Black individuals that may not even know they have the skill set or the mindset to work or maintain the vessels that are out there today. And it can be a very lucrative business. And we just got to get, our young people to come down, expose them to the water, because a lot of them don't even know we're here.
Mm-hmm.
They come as far as Gordon Park and never make it past the exit ramp.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know we're here. I say, Cleveland at one point had an issue with may still have an issue with the individuals on the four-wheelers and on the dirt bikes. I think someone is fixing these bikes, because when they break, they're not taking them to the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is keeping these bikes running. They keep the carburetors clean. They keep the tires, the chains. We eventually want to find these guys, or make it where they would come and be intrigued by what's happening down there. Those will be your future boat mechanics. Those will be your future harbor masters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So us simply being here creates an opportunity for advancement of underprivileged kids.
Yeah.
We just need to get that out there, along with us being able to be here to get them here.
Yeah. That's just so powerful. Just to unpack that, to think about, number one, thinking about the opportunities for ownership and participation that doesn't require one to be a multimillionaire to be able to enjoy this. So often I think that we have limited perspectives on what's possible and at what level of economic success you have to achieve in order to have certain things. But thinking about the ability to be a part of something like this without being a millionaire is one level of exposure. as we think about, how people are thinking about what's possible in their future, but then also to think about the jobs that are possible in that. And somebody who may be good with their hands and may be good at fixing things can think about an opportunity in repair of boats and yachts that can afford them an opportunity to experience life on the water and have a career in a very different place than they thought possible. I think those are, I mean, the opportunities for exposure are multifaceted in that. I have a note here I'm really excited about because part of what we are this conversation is about how we protect and preserve the environment and how do we not only hold accountable those who create environmental injustice, but also how do we do our part in creating environmental justice as Black people. And I have a note in my prep notes that the yacht club is working towards being an all green facility. I'd love to hear more about that. What is the work that the yacht club is doing in regards to its own environmental stewardship?
Okay, very good. So when our docks were built, they were practically built by our own members. Okay. As Vice Commodore stated, that we, 50 years ago, now we are suffering from infrastructure problems. Our docks are failing. Our electric is failing. We have issues. Don't like anybody. Okay. But if you're going to rebuild, if you're going to attempt to rebuild, the goal here is, 50 years ago, the material of the future was steel. Now, material of the future, you got carbon fiber, you got plastics, it's a lot of things that we can do. And we was able to find out that there are a lot of docks are being built out of recycled material. Now, docks being, of course, the platform that you walk down when you go to board your boat. Okay. They are held in place in the water through piles, which are essentially just long poles driven into the waterbed. Imagine the complete docking system built out of recycled plastics, essentially recycled plastics. Of course, there will be a question of durability, strength. But we come to find out that they exist. So while our dock system is in need of repair or replacement, we figure maybe we should just go completely green. We would like to be the mecca of the green marina. We already want to go for clean marina status, and there is a status out there for clean marinas. But a green marina, I have not seen or heard of. We could be the first. Not only we the first, we'd be the first Black green marina. Recycled material, solar lights, charging stations for cars, solar panels, self-sustaining. Why not? Of course, with that will come funding and stuff like that. Now, we only 60 members strong, so we're not that. But wouldn't it be innovative? Just to be a green marina, to be a place where everybody can come look and see it. How do we do it? Let's move forward with it. We know plastic takes a long time to deteriorate, but we, with this plastic, all the molecular structure of the plastic, that's not hammered out. But with all this excess plastic that we have now, let's do something useful with it. Let's do something that may last another 50 years.
Yeah. That's such a great vision, and I love Black people leading the way in terms of thinking about what's possible and how can we recreate the spaces in which we operate that are not only thinking about the present but thinking about our stewardship towards the future. Commodore Weeks, I want to bring you back into the conversation. For people who, may like me, at the beginning when I had not heard of the yacht club, or people who may have only just marginally heard about it, but not really familiar with what you do, for somebody who is in Cleveland and may not have a boat, but may want to find ways to engage. Are there recreation or educational opportunities for people who are there in the Cleveland area to participate with the yacht club that do not require them to go out and purchase a boat?
Well, I must step back a few years. This is pre-COVID. Um, our members at one point used to host a free barbecue at the yacht club, all paid by members, where we would invite the community to come down. We open up our doors and give the kids and people of the community the opportunity to come down to the club and experience boat life. As far as getting on a boat, I mean, some kids in the inner city has not even been on a boat. Some of them never even made it to the lake. So for just before COVID, it had become a really big thing, um, for the community to come down and see and experience life on the lake. After COVID, we're now trying to get back into the swing of things and try to find a way to reinvite the community to engage once again in the club. Throughout the year, we do host a couple events, which are all open to the public. Like the Commodore's Ball, and this year we had a really interesting event, which was like a Western style theme party, and we try to do stuff to keep the community engaged in what we do. Um, we do have we do work sometimes with the ODNR. At one point, we had the kids come down and they did like a safety class, and during the year we may offer safety classes, flare classes, different things to introduce people to life on the lake. We do have some plans in the future to have a few more programs going, saying that there's some new avenues that have opened up to us, and we are working on getting a game plan in place to have some interesting stuff happening this year.
So I want you to know, if you do open up the barbecue, I'm gonna drive from Cincinnati to come join you, because I love a good barbecue, and then a barbecue on the lake. I'm definitely down.
Hey, Pastor, I like to piggyback on Vice Commodore's comments.
Absolutely.
We are always open to our community. We have had let's just say, for instance, we had a program, individuals called Go to School, Go to College.
Mhm.
They wanted to come down and have a presentation ceremony down, no problem. Anything that allows us to assist the community, we're all for it. Our infrastructure, our building, our grounds are, to some may feel, not up to par. That doesn't stop us from doing what we feel we can do for the community. but we would like our place to look a little bit more presentable. And with that, we actively seek avenues to do more for the community. We started a 501c3, the Intercity Yacht Club Foundation, which its sole purpose is education, preservation, and conservation of aquatic recreation and activities. We plan on reaching out to the VA. We have a lot of ideas that we want to put forward. The first thing is first with us. We have to make Intercity Yacht Club, the location, desirable, safe, and accessible.
Mm-hmm. And then it's so great to hear about these about the activities that have been happening and what you all are hoping and dreaming will be coming back and coming again in the future. I want to talk a little bit about how Intercity Yacht Club is been engaging in the work of Cheers and the project that has been going on. We had a conversation. I think it was about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, about the work that was happening there in Cleveland in the harbor, in ways that they have been engaging with community and reimagining how access to the harbor and access to the lake can be widened, and how it can be more productive, and the money and resources that have been going into that project. How has Intercity Yacht Club been engaging with the Cheers project? And yeah, if you would speak a little bit about how that interaction has been.
Absolutely. So Cheers, which stands for Cleveland Harbor Eastern Embayment Resilience Study. And I know that's a lot, but basically, our shipping channels down the Cuyahoga River and in certain areas, a lot of large ships come through the river. Over the years, what they call sediment builds up at the bottom of the bed. So in order for these deep ships to keep navigating in waters, they have to literally scrape, or dredge is the term, the bottom of the river to keep it deep enough so the big ships can go through. The problem is, what do you do with this dredging? Now, a lot of people don't want it because it's basically muck. So a lot of times what they do, they build containment structures, put the dredging in there, and overlay it almost like a landfill that they turn into a park. Okay, it's safe, but if I'm not mistaken, back in the early 1900s, St. Clair Avenue wasn't even there. That was the lake, and as they extended the land out through landfill and massive dredging, that's how we ended up with St. Clair Avenue and so on and so forth. So what they want to do is, the main thing is to figure out where to put the dredging. Second, how can you put it somewhere where it will not harm the environment, possibly make green space on top of, and then make it feasible. So the Cheers study first is to figure out what area can use the dredging. How long will it take? You don't dredge, you don't make enough to fill landfills in 1 year. So this is a 25-year possible project, $400 million project. What makes it, what piques our interest about it is happening what we consider essentially is in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's right between East 72nd and East 55th. So the plan is extending the landmass out into the lake, creating an island out there, park area, entertainment area, a shallow cove for your kayakers and sailboaters, perhaps. It's a large project that will happen in phases. It's a 25-year project. We were concerned. We don't want to be a shack sitting in the middle of North Ridgeville. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to be a broken down house sitting in the middle of a because everything around us is about to change.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to stay up to the time. So we felt that we need to be a part of. If you ask questions about what is needed over here, we're the ones you need to ask because we've been here.
Mm-hmm.
So at first we were invited to work with Cheers and the Metro Parks, which is a big part. The Port of Cleveland, Port Authority. It's a lot of different partners in this Cheers program. But I must say, but in partnering with Bell, now we are vested. Our voice is stronger. And we were able to, we like to think we were able to, by looking at designs and talking to some of the engineers, we were able to change the shape of the design by asking the right questions. A lot of times when you come into the neighborhood and you want to do things or you want to change things or you want to build things, even though you have community meetings and you ask the community to join, a lot of times the final decisions are made by individuals or groups of individuals that's not even part of the community. Mm-hmm. Okay. Some of the ideas was skateboarding or bicycling, and nothing's wrong with them activities, but that don't really happen here. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't coming from individuals that live here, So we were able to put a more realistic view on what needs to be here. Mm-hmm. As far as a lot of people in this community like open space. They just want to see. They want to see the lake. They come down a lot to fish. So it's fishing piers in this program, in this project. A lot of them, So because we were able to partner with Bell and sit at the table, we were able to give a more realistic view of how this project should go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so important. There is the nuance in the ways in which representation happens and needs to happen. The point you made about not equating community engagement with community decision making, that so often communities can be engaged, and because they don't have final decision making authority, how community feedback is brought in or what community feedback is elevated as being most important, can be very tricky. And it's amazing. It's really, really good that such a long-standing organization who's been there and been on the lake and knows the community is there to help shape, hopefully in very meaningful ways, what this process is going to look like, and what's going to happen there on the harbor, and how that work happens. The I wonder, as we are coming down, winding down in the conversation, I wonder a little bit about what do you see as the next set of steps for the yacht club? And I've heard you talk about the need to build and rebuild the facilities, and to do so in a way that it is attractive to people who are coming in and keeping up with the development that's happening. But what are other next steps that you see? What's next for the Intercity Yacht Club?
Next for Intercity Yacht Club, my focus in my administration is to be able to support and dock more boats, attract more boaters, because that's what it's all about. We for the first time in quite some time, we have a waiting list, which is wonderful. I'd rather have a waiting list than have docks with no boats. But we know that there's certain things that boaters are accustomed to, that need, basic things that they need to have. So our goal here is and Metro Parks has been working with us. We have a lot of significance here. On our property is the first Black contracted job in the city of Cleveland. It sits right on our property. Through things like that, our founder, James Slim Parks, the street was named after him at our 50th anniversary. Getting our name out there, and through the work of social media and platforms like this, getting our name out there, getting people to come down and see us, understand what we're here, why we're here, how long we've been here, and history. The history really tells a lot. Get people to get involved with us. I think that will. I see Intercity Yacht Club being the go-to place for meetings, community engagements, recreation. Now, we still maintain our privacy, of course, but this club was put together through individuals from the community. So our doors is always open to that community. Moving forward, expansion within ourselves and outreach to our community.
We have a question from social media, hopefully from somebody who was interested in getting involved in supporting your effort. And the question is, what is the total investment that's needed in order to do the revamping work that you would like to do? What's the total investment that you are looking for that?
Well, that's kind of a difficult question, because we have a lot of areas that needs work. My first focus is docks. And to achieve the green marina status that we want, we're at $3.8 million. However, this dock system is a modular system. So it don't have to be built at one time. It can be built section by section. The goal is to start doing something.
Yeah.
Let's just start doing something. And if we can build docks, we can increase membership. We can increase revenue. We can increase revenue. we can keep going.
So what I hear from Commodore Rock is if you have a $3.8 million check, go ahead and drop it. But if you don't have that check, don't let that stop you from getting involved. That whatever you're able to do to help support will help to expand. And they're not waiting until they get the whole amount to do work. But as you give and help support the work, that your investment will see immediate results that can help to create more investment.
May I say, we don't look for handouts. We're a proud bunch. We sustain ourselves. But it comes a time when we know our value, or we feel our value. We feel we need to be here. In order for us to stay here, we're going to need a little bit of help.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. For people who want to follow you and get engaged with you on social media and see the work that you are doing and share your story, where can they go to find you on the internet and on social media?
I'm going to turn that over to my Vice Commodore Weeks.
Well, you can find us on any social media platform under intercityyachtclub.com. Our website is intercityyachtclub.org. We are Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Just Google us and you'll find us.
And that's Intercity, INTER City Yacht Club. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. All one word.
All
Yes.
right. And so check out, I just went on Instagram and followed the Intercity Yacht Club on Instagram, and you heard them there on Facebook and Twitter, whatever your social media platform of choice is, you can go there and find the Intercity Yacht Club. When I went on Instagram, the first thing I saw was a post about the Commodore's ball that I just missed. That happened this May. What happens at a Commodore's ball? What's that like for people who may be interested in attending in the future?
Well, most all you usually have them is to recognize the sitting Commodore and his administration. This is basically just it used to be a time when it was an elegant black tie hotel ballroom type affair. But it's not quite that anymore, but it's still recognition of the administration, the establishment, and the membership. Coming up is our launch party, which is if you really want to see our captains in a full array, you come to the launch party. Now there may be a theme on that this year, we're not sure. But our ladies auxiliary, we have a ladies auxiliary. They have two major parties here that's one of the biggest in the city, the all white party and the party under the stars. We want to get back to having our Christmas party for the community kids. But you know me, the best way to find out about us is come see me. 7301 North Marginal Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44103. Stop by. Just stop by.
Could you give us that address one more time, just in case somebody didn't have their pen or their phone ready the first time?
Absolutely.
That address one more time for us.
7301 North Marginal Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44103.
And stop by and see Commodore Rock.
Yes.
So that
I'm available almost any day after 5 o'clock. Weekends, I would love to show you what we have and to view our lake from our facility. You will never forget it.
That is an amazing invitation, friends and family from Commodore Rock, to come see the Intercity Yacht Club and to see the lake from their facility. I hope that those of you who are in Cleveland who are watching us will take the Commodore up on this amazing invitation. And Commodore, next time that we get up on that side of the state, we may come and knock on your door and take a view for ourselves. It's as we wind this conversation down to a close. Is there a final thought that you would like to leave the people with, Commodore and Vice Commodore?
Well, I would say, in order for us to be a voice in a world where history usually kept us silent, we must band together, work together, assist each other in accomplishing common goals.
Yeah.
One of the platforms for my administration, when I was asked, what is your platform? It was to use the resources of the like-minded individuals that sit on my bridge and in this body. Because when like-minded individuals pool their resources, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Vice Commodore, any thoughts you would like to leave us with?
I just piggyback off of what Commodore said. We started 3 years ago in the negative, and by his leadership in this administration and then together, we were able to accomplish more in the last few years than the club has accomplished in previous administrations. And it just took a group of individuals just sitting down and realizing the vision and putting the pedal to the metal and making it happen. It's a lot of back and forth because we're not always on the same page, but we all got the same mission. Mm-hmm. And once we can get past the bump in the heads and how to get there, getting there is the end goal. And we have gotten to this point so far just by listening to one another and reaching out to the community, to like-minded individuals for help. And as he said, we are a pro bunch. We don't like to ask for help, but out of necessity, we had to swallow our pride with a lot of stuff and ask for some type of assistance. Something as, as a brother, you know that it's hard for a group of guys to ask for advice. We'd be going the wrong way for 10 years and not realize it because we don't want to ask that advice. And we have buttoned down within the last few years to just ask for a point in the right direction. And that has helped this administration move a lot of mountains that were ahead of us. And I just hope that we can continue to knock down these barriers and make Intercity Yacht Club the mecca of Cleveland that it once was.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Vice Commodore Weeks. Thank you, Commodore Rock, for sharing in this conversation. This conversation has been, as I'm sure you've heard, about more than just yachting, but this has been a conversation about history. This has been a conversation about community impact. It's been a conversation about what's possible when there is true representation and people and organizations who are willing to go to the table to represent the communities in which they've been embedded. This has been a conversation about dignity, and it's been a conversation about the great Kwanzaa principle, Ujima, collective work and responsibility. I hope you have been inspired as I have been from today's conversation. Inspired, one, to take Commodore Rock up on the invitation to go down and see the lake from a particular view, from the view of the Intercity Yacht Club, and get a look at the view that they get to see. But more than that, I hope that this inspires you to think about the ways in which the work that you are doing in your part of Ohio or wherever in the country you find yourself in this moment, the ways that you can take the principles that have been talked about in this conversation about having a vision for a sustainable present and a brighter future, a vision in which the tasks and skills that are a part of the work that you are engaged in, whether it is the work that you do for pay or the work that you do for recreation and entertainment, ways in which that can be opportunities for people to have larger visions for themselves, larger visions for what's possible for their futures. And when we take a look at what's possible in our lives through that lens, it calls us to work together. It calls us to work for a brighter and more sustainable future. So once again, I want to thank Commodore Rock and Vice Commodore Weeks for your participation in this powerful conversation. I want to thank Samia Bray and the Black Environmental Leaders Association for hosting this initiative. I want to thank CommEN Strategies for coordinating this series and allowing me to be a part of this important work. And most importantly, I want to thank you for tuning in and participating in listening to this conversation. If this conversation has been inspiring to you in any way, won't you share it with somebody? Won't you share with them the link to this conversation so they can tune it in and check out for themselves? And won't you join us again when we come back together to further this conversation about Black landscapes and how they matter here in Ohio. Again, my name is Nelson Pierce, the pastor of Beloved Community Church. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation, and have a good night, everyone.